On Wednesday, July 9th, beginning around 5 p.m. local time, a powerful line of thunderstorms swept through Washington, D.C., the surrounding Beltway region, and parts of northern Virginia and Maryland. These storms brought torrential rainfall. Reagan National Airport recorded 1.16 inches, around 29.5 millimeters, in just 20 minutes alongside wind gusts up to 55 miles per hour, 89 kilometers per hour. Several areas northeast of the Beltway saw over 2 inches, 50 millimeters, of rain. The National Weather Service issued flash flood warnings across D.C., northern Virginia, and parts of Maryland, extending these alerts as the storm progressed. Simultaneously, brief tornado warnings were prompted by radar-detected rotation near north-central D.C. and Tacoma Park, though no tornadoes actually touched down. The storm's immediate impact was dramatic. Major flash flooding in neighborhoods like Adams Morgan and Brentwood, where streets transformed into rushing rivers. A vehicle was stranded on Calvert Street in northwest D.C., and water reached 2 feet deep in parts of Alexandria, such as East Monroe and East Glebe roads, where water rescues were reported. Authorities received at least 30 reports of downed trees across downtown, southeast D.C., Arlington, and Prince George's County. In Fairfax County alone, over 10,000 Dominion Energy customers experienced power outages by 7:20 p.m.
Oh my God, they're coming at us. Oh my God. Where's my vest? Holy!
Listen, America is literally drowning. This is how floods reveal a modern collapse, and nobody really wants to talk about it. Everybody's saying climate change. I've seen all types of videos, just like crazy videos from Texas, New Jersey, New York, New Mexico, all over TikTok, some mixed from 2024, some having to do with 2025 right now. But what I'm witnessing before my eyes is insane, because I'm from Ohio, I'm from the Midwest, and typically July in the Midwest, even in the eastern states, is rather warm. It's rather enjoyable. But it looks like that is not so in 2025. We need to talk about this collapse and what this means from a judgment perspective. Yes, the Most High is judging the nations, and America is really at the cusp of that judgment. From record-shattering rains, cars floating in the literal city streets, and subways transformed into rivers. This is not a movie trailer or a scene from some dystopian novel, which, by the way, I love dystopian movies, but this is real life. This is the real deal. And it's not just America either. It's Spain, it's Japan, it's even other areas in Europe as well. We're watching in real time the collapse of weather stability itself, and most people have no idea how deep this actually goes. But let's go down the rabbit hole together. And I'm gonna warn you, this may be a little bit uncomfortable, especially if you don't like to read the scriptures, but I just want to know what the Most High says about these things. I really want us to look at history and get a glimpse of this so that we do not perpetuate this idea that everything is fine. Everything is not fine. The myth of normal weather is dead, okay? For generations, Americans and much of the modern world built cities, roads, homes, and infrastructure on belief in a stable climate. Sure, there were always storms, but they were predictable. Rain fell, snow came, rivers swelled, and then receded. Flood maps meant something. Insurance models could price risk, but not anymore. The past few years have ripped that comfort completely away. What used to be a once-in-a-century phenomenon is now happening over and over the same areas again. Think Texas, New York, New Jersey. And the news reports are saying, hey, there's going to be more flash flooding. And, I just want to say peace and stability to the people who are impacted. I was watching a video earlier, and I believe it was the flood in Texas. I can't even keep up anymore. I think it was the one in Texas. And, there was this lady and this guy, they were in their car, but the waters were coming up so quick. At first, the neighbors were going to go to help them, but the waters were coming in so quickly, just rushing in, almost like some kind of tsunami. And they just had to back up and just let it go. I'm not sure what happened to those people. Hopefully they made it out. I mean, these are really tough things to witness, even, if you're not in America, even if you're just witnessing this from afar. And by the way, I also saw another interesting video. Hit the like button if you haven't already, because you know I'm going to get down to the nitty gritty of what's happening. I recently saw another documentary earlier today, and I'll probably do an entire separate video about this, but I want to do a little side note. What do you think of the fact that America has no more tourists coming in? Like, a few people were filming the Atlanta airport, like, hey, this is usually a very busy airport, the busiest in America, and the airplanes themselves are empty. There's like one person from Europe that filmed going through the airplane and nobody was on the airplane to America. Check it out. I looked at the comments on this specific video. Germans, people from Holland, people from the UK, Spain, not even like Africans and Asians as much commenting. People from Europe were saying, I will never be visiting America. They're saying, I do not want any parts of a fascist government. People from Germany, they were like, we already know how this ends. We already dealt with this in 1933. I don't want to go back in time. What do y'all think about that? Like, this is getting crazy. Listen, the data does not lie. Flood statistics are breaking records. Let's stop calling it bad weather. Let's look at the numbers together here. Texas, May to June 2024, storms dumped 15 to 20 inches in 72 hours in parts of East Texas. Over 200 water rescues as roads vanished under lakes of brown flood water. Houston alone has seen multiple 1-in-100-year floods happen in just a decade, and the source is the National Weather Service and the Houston Chronicle. Now, the one that was more recent in Texas, they were saying the floods came up 3 to 5 feet in just a span of a couple of hours. I'm like, I can't even keep up. I hope I'm sure they're documenting it well, but I think it's just an atrocity. I think it's really crazy that also while this is happening, FEMA is not going to be functioning as well as they used to. The EPA does not have funding. And so it's just a disaster all over. I mean, I guess it's good for those people from Europe, from Africa, Asia, who typically want to do tourism in America during July and August. They're like, look, they just avoided the floods. They just avoided everything. They're like, and look, they said in those comments that they were never going to return to America. They were never going to go there on vacation ever again. So this is truly the beginning of the end for what used to be seen as the great American empire. Now let's go to New York and New Jersey. NYC subway stations were filled waist deep with brown flood water just in the last 24 to 48 hours. The JFK airport recorded its highest hourly rainfall rate ever back in 2023 and damages in the tens of millions. And this last statistic that is talking about the damages, I don't think they have even calculated the damages, because I'm pretty sure from what I've seen on these weather channels, I'm going to try to leave some in the description so you can check them out. I think it's going to be even more damage, because these look like crazy rivers. There were waterfalls literally in some of these sites that were getting flooded tremendously, and it just left me speechless. I was talking to my husband, showing my kids just literally speechless, and they're saying it can happen in other countries, or I should say other states in the Midwest as well, which to me is just, I don't know what to say anymore. But the source from New York and New Jersey was from the NY governor's office. Now let's zoom over to New Mexico. Just last year in New Mexico, around June again, flash floods hit after historic wildfires created massive burn scars. 5 inches of rain in a single day led to mud flows burying entire roads. Evacuations and rescue became routine. This is coming from the Southwest River Forecast Center. Now, they're saying New Mexico has also encountered these floods, and they're happening right now. So it's going to take a little bit of time to see what the measurements are looking like, what they're reporting. But again, if you're looking at TikTok, if you're looking at some of these YouTube channels and just people showing you clips of what's going on, it is not looking too good. Now let's go over to Spain. So Spain was not left out of this judgment that is happening across the world. Since 2023, they had over 8 inches at one time in one day of rain in 24 hours in parts of Valencia. Cars swept through narrow city alleyways, and in 2024, extreme rainfall hit after drought. That comes from the Spanish Meteorological Agency in El País. Now, if we also look at Japan, we're going to see this similar pattern. 2023 to 2025 has seen huge flooding. Now, Japan also gets hit with a lot of earthquakes, potential tsunami risks, but these floods are really like demolishing these areas. And I want you to notice this pattern, that these are all Western societies. Like, these are all countries that are seen as part of the West, part of the world power system, the world economic system. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, maybe it's that harp and maybe it's this and maybe it's that. But at the end of the day, it's the Most High telling you that he is not pleased with certain kingdoms that are on the earth, for lack of a better terminology, okay? Now, Japan and Kyushu saw over 20 inches in 24 hours. That's a lot. 1 million people were under evacuation orders, and fatal landslides in multiple prefectures were there, okay? That comes from the Japan Meteorological Agency. Now, I think growing up, we used to always see different mudslides happening. You see things happening in India and Indonesia and Japan. And as an American growing up, you just thought, okay, that kind of stuff just happens in Asia. That doesn't happen in America. Everything's fine in America. But what people don't necessarily realize is when you have this amount of water hitting New Jersey, New York, Texas, New Mexico, North Carolina, it destroys so much. Like, there's so much in damages when this is all cleaned up after the fact. And really, we're just still in the middle of it. We don't really know what the damages are fully going to look like. But let me tell you something about water. When the Most High chooses to judge a nation by water, it can totally decimate the roads, the cement, leading to potholes, leading to houses being swept away, like I saw in some of those videos earlier, leading to just this, man, water has this way of being this extreme force. Like, you think, oh, it's just water. Like, the fact that people are dying of drowning, my heart just goes out to those people. Like, it's just, whew. It's just not a good time to not understand the cycles of judgment that the Most High is having according to what he purposes. Now, the environmentalist people are going to say, hey, it's the warmer atmosphere, and hey, it's the burn scars from wildfires that can't absorb any more water, and hey, it's the jet stream disruptions that make storms come over for days. But let's actually get some scriptures. I really want to talk about this from a biblical point of view. So now we're going to get into, this is civilizational. The modern Babylon. The Bible has vivid imagery of societies that grow arrogant, decadent, and lewd, and ensured of their own security, but the Most High says something contrary. We see in Revelations 18:2 that he is professing through one of his messengers, Babylon the Great is fallen, okay? The ancient city was legendary for its wealth, power, and defense. But judgment came swiftly, and 1 hour is thy judgment. Revelations 18:10. When I look at how floods come in the form of judgment, you can also see how total, they're saying actual sundown towns have been taken out from this water. Like these places where brothers and sisters, our ancestors, they, if you go, here's the thing about sundown towns. I was telling my oldest son earlier today, I was like, Jeremiah, do you know what a sundown town is? He's like, no, he been in Africa, right? He's never heard of a sundown town. He's been in Africa since he was like 6, 7, whatever. And so I'm explaining to him, well, a sundown town is called that because these are areas that you go in the United States, and you better be out of that town by sundown, and you better be back in your home with your doors closed, maybe even with your lights off, because by sundown, the Ku Klux Klan and whoever else was with him was going to be yanking up people and lynching them, obviously, unaliving them, okay? That is where the term sundown town came from for some of you who are international in different geographic locations. And these sundown towns, especially in Texas and North Carolina, have been some of the ones hit. Now we're waiting to see what is happening to the places that were hit in New York and New Jersey, and even D.C. has been hit, like Washington D.C. I think it's happening today, and I'm just like, could it be any more symbolic? I mean, the Most High, he's just making it glaringly obvious at this rate. It's one of those things, like, if you don't see it, you're probably just never going to see it. You may not have been graced to be able to see it, because for him to flood Washington, D.C. is like, okay, that's like literally the capital, you know. When you think of New York, New Jersey, literally the economic capitals. When you think of Texas, Texas is a very proud place, let's be honest. Down south, it's also, you know, you got some different types of people down there, Confederates and things like that, which, they believe Confederate type of ideologies, if you understand what I'm saying. And the Most High is saying, you know what, I think I'm done with it. So let's actually go to the book of Nahum. Nahum is a minor prophet. Listen to this. With an overrunning flood, he will make an utter end. I need you to hit the like button on that one. And I need you to share this with 5 to 10 people. They may not want to hear the scriptures. Maybe they do want to hear the scriptures. Whatever needs to be done, whoever you need to send it to those 5 to 10 people. Because Nahum just said, with an overrunning flood, he will make an utter end. So we're seeing an example of how the Most High Yah can actually leverage his floods and his waters to cause judgment and destruction. So what I'm saying isn't something that's so far out there. What other people are telling you isn't something that's like so far out there that we made up. We just literally get this from an ancient book called the Bible. You should check it out. You should read the minor prophets. They have a lot of insights. I know in the church, they don't really go over that a lot. They don't even tell you to read the Old Testament. I would deeply encourage you to do that at this time. It's just not the time to be in the dark, okay? Now, let's look at the direct fate of Babylon herself in the book of Jeremiah. The sea has come upon Babylon. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Jeremiah 51:42. When a society begins to trust in its own might, wealth, and technological prowess, while ignoring the moral rot underneath, destruction will be both inevitable and shockingly fast. Now, let's talk about the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. Listen, if you don't know about Sodom and Gomorrah, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. You should check it out in the book of Jasher, which is one of the hidden apocrypha books, but it's available on Amazon. It's available online. We all have Google. Just search the book of Jasher, Sodom and Gomorrah. It's totally going to enlighten your eyes. Sodom and Gomorrah's main issue was they were such a lustful LGBTQ society, okay? And if we look on the face of the earth today, we have a few culprits. We have America, we have France, and we have Israel and the UK, which are main culprits of LGBTQ plus, IRS, and all these other letters that they put at the end of it. And so, Trump tried to reverse some of that. And I'm not saying he's the best person, but I'm just telling the facts. He tried to reverse some of that. But at the end of the day, that spirit has been in America for such a long time, probably since 1776 and before, not to mention the lust and lewdness that is embedded in American society. And so that is literally what Sodom and Gomorrah was. If you don't know, in the scriptures in the book of Genesis, Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed with ashes. And Abraham, who is obviously the father of our faith, Abraham had a nephew named Lot. Lot was living in Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham was not in Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham was telling his nephew, hey, I've been told to go. I got to go get out my country, go to some place that the Most High is going to show me all the way on the other side from where I'm at right now. I don't know where exactly I'm going, but he told me to go, so I'm about to go. You should come too. Lot says, you know what, I think I will come too. Messengers come down and warn Abraham and Lot, hey, I'm about to destroy this, or Yah, the great I am, is about to destroy this land. You should probably get out sooner. You should go quickly. Don't delay. It's about to be destroyed. Don't wait for the destruction, or you're going to be destroyed with it, essentially. And so they leave. Lot's wife, she ends up looking back. That looking back could obviously be symbolic of, hey, she's thinking about her family. She wanted to run back. She missed those delicacies in Sodom and Gomorrah. Maybe she had some friends. She was like, hey, I just want to go check on so-and-so. I really want to go back. But she turned to a pillar of salt, okay? So that's the quick rundown on Sodom and Gomorrah. Again, look in the book of Genesis. Look in the book of Asher in your Bible. Again, even if you've read it already, it's also a great time to read it again. Now, I want you to listen to this verse from the book of Ezekiel. Behold, this was the iniquity of your sister Sodom. Pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness. Woo, child. pride, fullness of bread, and the abundance of idleness. Idleness meaning they're just doing nothing. They're just Netflixing and chilling. They're just relaxed. They're just sitting on the park bench. They're not really doing much. They're just idle. They're not doing anything with their time. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. Wow. Sound familiar? And that is from Ezekiel 16:49. A society drowning in consumption, ignoring the vulnerable, and trusting its own wealth until it collapses under its own weight. That literally is the definition of America. But wait a minute, as if that wasn't enough, I have some more scriptures for you here. I've compiled these so that you can take a look. Listen to this from the book of Isaiah, chapter 47, verse 10. Therefore shall evil come upon you. You shall not know from where it rises. I saw another video that people in Texas are arguing like, what caused the flood? Was it the Republicans? Was it the Democrats? Was it the black people? I don't know. Why do we always, how did we cause the flood? What? How did we cause the flood, right? But that's essentially that verse in real time. Therefore, evil shall come upon you, and you won't know where it comes from. Like, it's not going to make sense. The way that if you look at those rivers, they're just flooding all over the place. They're flooding out Shell gas stations. You start to say, this stuff really doesn't make sense. Like, this is wild. When stuff like that doesn't make sense, that's a great time for you to just turn back, repent to the Most High, and say, Father, I want to activate your mercy and grace in this time. That's a good time to stand down, stand back. And, you know, I'm going to tell you what I tell you in every video. I would leave America. I would leave. I would leave America. I would go somewhere that, you know, doesn't have those issues. Preferably, if it was me, I'd be in Africa, and I am in Africa. That's where I would be. I'd be in the southern parts of Africa, possibly Asia, definitely Africa though. Because at the end of the day, disaster does not arrive on a schedule. It comes suddenly from unexpected directions. Floods in subways, malls turn into lakes, highways start to vanish, even in America. For a generation told they were masters of nature, this is the most shocking truth. We are not in control anymore. Dare I say, we have never been in control. Everything is up to the Most High and what he desires to do in these times. As in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. Listen to Matthew 24:37. As the days of Noah were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be, until the flood came and took them all away. People would ignore the warnings. Life went on, eating, drinking, buying, selling, until it was too late. How many will do the same today? Now, the Most High Yah, he promised to never flood the entire earth ever again with an entire flood that basically sinks every landmass on earth. But that doesn't mean that some parts of the world won't still be judged with flood water. So at the end of the day, it just is what it is. And, you know, your next thought process should be, what does this mean for us? What should we do? We can't pretend that the old normal is coming back. Cities have to be rebuilt for a radically different climate. Communities need to plan for multiple compounding disasters. Individuals need to rethink where and how they will live. Spiritually and morally, this is a wake-up call. Are we repeating Babylon's arrogance or Sodom's selfishness, or will we listen before the floodwaters of the Most High rise any higher? Shalom, shalom. I'll see you in the next video. Like this video, share, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these updates. And yeah, that's about it. I'll leave the sources down below. Stay safe.